All right, good morning, everybody. Good to see all of you. Excited to be with you this morning. My name is Tyler, and want to welcome you to Pathway Community Church. Want to welcome those of you who are joining us online as well. And of course, happy Father's Day to all of you dads and granddads who are in the room with us or again watching online. And we are so grateful for you. We're thankful for each one of you and want to honor you today. We're so honored that you've chosen to spend some time with us on Father's Day and worshiping together. And in a few minutes later in the service, we've got some things we've got for you today that we'll tell you a little bit more about again here in a little bit. But before we begin this morning, a couple quick highlights for you. As you just saw in the video, if you're paying attention there at the end of the loop, we finished an incredible week this past week together, our annual VBS or Vacation Bible School week with hundreds of kids, over 600 kids in this space screaming and singing songs of worship to Jesus and hearing about how Jesus loves them, as you just heard from one of our Kid City team members, Susie, who shared that with them and invited them to be a part of God's family. And we had hundreds of kids that for the first time made a decision to make Jesus their forever friend and to be a part of God's family forever. And so God continues to blow us away every year as we walk through that week together. And we just want to say thank you to you as our church for supporting and for giving and for making that happen. For those of you who served and gave of your time and touch, what an incredible impact you had this week. And we're so thankful for you, for our great Kid City team, our worship team, tech teams, facilities teams. What an amazing and remarkable week. And so we're so thankful for that. And we want to use this as an opportunity to remind you that the same intentionality and effort and energy that goes into a week like VBS every year, we actually put that same effort and energy into what we do every single weekend with kids back in Kid City. And so if you've been back there, you know it's a great space, a great environment, but also a great experience for them. And just like it takes hundreds of volunteers to make VBS happen, it takes hundreds of volunteers throughout the year to make what we do back there every single weekend happen as well. And so right now as we walk through the summer, we're actually building our teams for the upcoming school year. You'll notice in the handout that you were given when you came in today, there's a tear off there with both some opportunities mentioned for Kid City and also our student ministries with middle school and high school students. We're in the process of building those teams, and we would invite you to consider playing a part in some of the most important ministries that we have as our church. One of our most significant callings that God's given to us is to impact the next generation and to lead them into a full life that can only be found in Jesus Christ. So we would invite you to pray about, to consider ways that you can be a part of that this coming school year. And the first step for that is simply to fill out the tear off there and drop that in the offering buckets a little later in the service. Doesn't commit you to anything except to take the next step of learning more. And we believe that God has many of you that he's trying to invite into these experiences to radically change the story for the next generation. And so we invite you to do that. One other thing I want to make sure that you know about that's happening in August is called the Global Leadership Summit. And we always take staff and many of you from Pathway every year to this event. It's actually a 2-day conference hosted up in Chicago at Willow Creek Community Church, but it's simulcast all around the world. And our Fort Wayne simulcast is the largest simulcast site in the world. And so it's pretty cool that we get to be a part of that here in Fort Wayne. Would love to have many of you be a part of it. It's for leaders of all shapes and sizes. And you will get better as a leader by being a part of those 2 days. You can learn more on our website. And if you sign up through us, you can get a discounted rate for a limited time and even a chance to earn some free tickets. So we encourage you to check that out and be a part of that here coming up later this summer in August. We're going to begin our time of worship together now, and we gather every single week together to remind ourselves of who God is and what he's done and what he's up to and what he's inviting us to be a part of with him. And we sing songs together as part of that to sing out and celebrate our incredible God. So why don't you go ahead and stand with me, and our team's going to lead us in celebration of our good and loving Heavenly Father as we begin our time of worship together today.
We read in James that if we draw near to God, he will draw near to us as well. So this morning, as we celebrate the fact that he's already here, he's already in the midst of our presence, let us sing and celebrate and praise him this morning. Let's sing, let our praise. Let our praise be your welcome. Let our songs be a sign we are your voice. We are here for you. Let your breath come from heaven. Fill our hearts with your light. fire fall down. Let our shout be your anthem, your renown. Fill the sky, we are here for you. Yes, we are. We are here for you. Let your word, let your word move in power. Let what's dead, oh, let it come to life. We are here for you. Yes, we are. Oh, we are here for you. Oh, to you our hearts are open. Nothing here is hidden. You are our one desire. For you alone are holy. Only you are worthy, God. Let your fire fall down to you. To you our hearts are open. Nothing here is hidden. You are our one desire. For you alone are holy. Only you are worthy, God. Let your fire fall. Oh, let it fall. Let it fall. We welcome you, God. We welcome you, God. We welcome you with praise. We welcome you with praise. Almighty God of love, be welcome in this place. We welcome you with praise. We welcome you with praise. Almighty God of love, be welcome in this place. Let every heart adore. Let every soul wait. Almighty God of love, be welcome in this place. We welcome you with praise. We welcome you with praise. Almighty God of love, be welcome in this place. We welcome you, God. Amen. Amen. As we have the chance and the opportunity this morning to celebrate our fathers, I can't help but think of my own journey in fatherhood and how much love I have for my kids. Even when they throw things at me or they don't eat their food or whatever, I just keep pursuing them, keep pursuing their love. And I think of how much more our Heavenly Father pursues us in the times that we let Him down, that He continually chases us. He's continually pursuing that relationship with us. I think of what we read in Luke, where we read the parable of the 99 sheep, that He says that He will leave the 99 behind in search of the one. And all of us have that time in our lives that we were the one that Jesus continues to pursue. So let's sing about that this morning as we sing Before I Spoke a Word. Before I spoke a word, before I spoke a word, you were singing over me. You have been so, so good to me. Before I took a breath, you breathed your life in me. You have been so, so kind to me. Sing it out. Holy, overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love. wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. No shadow, there's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no war you won't Heavenly Father, we celebrate you, Lord. We worship you. Thank you so much, Lord, for just allowing us this opportunity to be in your presence, Lord, to worship you, to thank you. Thank you for the fact that you don't give up on pursuing us, Lord, and that you call us your children. And because of that, Lord, we do not have to be afraid. I pray, Lord, that you would stir in our hearts this morning, Lord, that you would move in this service, Lord. Not our will, Lord, but yours. We love you, Heavenly Father. We thank you. And all God's people said, amen. Why don't you turn and greet someone next to you? If they're a dad, say Happy Father's Day to them.
I don't know about you dads, but just like that, right? That's the way it works for all of us. But again, we do love our dads. Happy Father's Day to all of your dads, granddads here with us. And again, we're so grateful for you. Here at our church, we believe you have one of the most important jobs in the world. And we hope that you never forget that. As a church, we want to come around you and help you in every way we can to help every single man become all that God has created and called them to be. And we have some great spaces for that. Many of you know about Mandate Monday. It's a space we do several times a year, 6 to 8 weeks at a time. In this room, hundreds of guys gathered together talking about what it means to be men like Jesus and what it means to reflect and honor God as our Father, even in the relationships that we find ourselves in. And so if you've never been a part of that, we hope you jump into that. We have some great marriage and parenting ministries as well, our Re-Engage marriage class and what we do with parenting classes and seminars. Again, we throw a lot of effort and resources to try to help every single guy become all that God has created and called them to be. And I tell you that on Father's Day weekend, first of all, for those of you who are men in the room, to invite you into those spaces, to join with many others, many of us, all of us. None of us are perfect at this, but we're learning how to grow into that together. And also share that with you because in just a moment, we're going to continue worshiping in a way we do every week through our giving. And I want to remind you as a church that it's because of your giving that we get to provide these spaces for men to become all that God has created and called them to be. And so we give today as an act of worship, as a way of celebrating that, as a way of partnering with the work that God's doing in and through our church. And so we're going to take a moment to do that now. If you guys, our team that's serving us, want to come forward, they're going to pass some buckets down the rows. Give us a chance to do that, again, to give back some of which God has given to us as a way of partnering with him. And as a church, we do that joyfully and cheerfully because we know the ways that God uses that to change our world. And what a privilege that we get to be a part of that. So guys, if you want to go ahead and pass those buckets, you can make sure they get all the way across the aisles to the outside edges of the room and then just put them under your seat there when you're done. And our team will come by and pick them up here in just a minute. And as that's happening, again, dads, one of the things we try to do to honor you on Father's Day weekend is we like to give you stuff. And we got a couple things we want to give you as you leave later today. You'll see them at both exits as you walk out later on this morning. One of the things we'd love to give you is one of our PCC Men window decals. We know many of you have those. I love always driving around town, seeing those, pulling up behind somebody who has one on a back window, and then judging their driving. And it's a great opportunity to do that. But we'd love to have you take one of those and put that on there. It's a way of saying you belong here, that you're a part of what God is doing in the lives of men here in our church. We also know that for many of you as men, one of your love languages, although the experts didn't write as much about this one, but is food, right? And so we want to give you something to eat as you leave today, and maybe you have plans. This can be just a warm-up for whatever plans you have to eat something else later on today. We like to give you meat, many times something to do with bacon, either something with bacon on it or in it, or just bacon itself, but we're going to switch things up this year and give you a different kind of meat, also starts with B. We've got brats for you, and so we want to give you one of those. So all the guys in the room, and in fact, even if you ladies would like to have one, you can have one as well, but in honor of our dads, we've got those as you leave today too, so we hope you'll take 1 or 2 or 12 or whatever your appetite will allow. So we're thankful for you, grateful for you. We have one last treat I want to tell you about today, and it's actually a guest that we have with us. We're going to be wrapping up our home series together today, and we've got a guy that we're just so excited for him to share his story and to share his heart with you. Daniel McKim's with us, and you're going to see in a moment what resonated with us. Not only is he a guy with tremendous physical strength, as you'll see, but also has demonstrated tremendous spiritual strength. And so we're excited to introduce him to you and have him share with you today. We're going to introduce him through a video. You'll recognize him in the video. Looks a lot like me, very handsome and huge. So big muscles, just like me. So watch this, and then we'll welcome Daniel to the stage.
Welcome Daniel McKim this morning. And before we get started, I know we're hitting dads, but if you're a dad, just stand up real quick, because at some churches, dads don't show up, but at Pathway they do. And so let's affirm these guys, shall we, this morning? Awesome. Trust you asked for something big. I got 3 kids now in high school. They all make money. And so they asked me the other day, they said, what do you want for Father's Day? I went big. Real big. Yeah? They sucked air. I said, hey, go big or go home, babe. Yeah. So that's the way it is. So we'll see what happens today. I don't think it's going to come through. You do things at these games that I do on the weekends just every day.
Of course.
Throw things.
You were my inspiration, Ron.
You're out of Missouri, and I'll tell you how I ran across Daniel's about a year ago. You were on an NBC TV show. Yep. Called the Spartan Games.
It was actually America's Next Top Model, but that's it's fine. However you want to remember it. Yeah,
I was on that too. So yeah. So you're on Spartan Games, and so I was watching. I don't watch a lot of TV. I really don't, but I was watching the Spartan Games and kind of inspiring me, a little bit. And I ran across. I saw you part of the deal is you're part of the Highland Games, mm-hmm. and so I saw his team. I think we got the team picture somewhere up here, do we? Not. As far as his team goes, there it is, right there. Oh, it's on the monitor, right there. Yeah, and so so you guys were the Highlanders, and as you went through these games, you went up against another team that was much smaller than you guys were.
Yes, the Little Giants.
The Little Giants. Yeah. They were like 5'4" and below, weren't they?
And I had a 230-pound weight advantage on a couple of them, so yeah, right. It was great.
But you guys lost.
Barely. No. But I realized quickly we were just the eye candy, really, for the show. I mean, we know that every show's got to have it.
And And so I saw, and they ran a little B-roll, we'll talk about that in a few moments, of his story. And when I saw the story, I thought to myself, even though God was not in the story, we'll talk about that, but I thought, this guy's a Christ follower. And so I got done, watched the show, whatever else, got in the office the next day. I said, started doing a little research on you, and sure enough, found some things on you. And so I had Melanie get a hold of him and said, let's see if this guy will come in for Father's Day next year. And he accepted. And so he's here this morning. Yeah, it's awesome. And so let's talk a little bit about the Highland Games and what you do in there. What's your rank in those in the games?
Well, you're just gonna throw it out there like that. All right. So I'm a 4-time world champion, a 6-time U.S. champion, and I have 2 world records in the event. So essentially, it's 8 different events, kind of like a big man's decathlon, right? Minus the running, right?
Right.
So it's over 2 days typically, and you do 8 different events, and it's pitting and throwing heavy stuff.
Yeah, and you get to wear a skirt.
A kilt.
Yeah.
It's called a kilt. You know why they call it a kilt, right? Because that's what happened to the last guy who called it a skirt. My wife's here somewhere.
Yeah.
She hates these dad jokes.
Your wife is here.
She's here somewhere.
Yeah. Where's your wife at? Can she stand up? Because you got 5 kids here as well. Where you at? Where you at? You around here?
She's not going to do it.
She's not here? She's not going to do it?
She's going to wave her hand. I knew it.
Yeah, she's right back there waving her hand.
She doesn't like those dad jokes. But what's Father's Day without a dad joke here and there, right?
Exactly. And what do you bench?
What do I bench? 500 is my best.
Yeah, I do 5. Yeah. And what about squat?
Squat, I'm not as good of squatter, so I have squatted 600.
Wow. How fast can you run 3 miles?
3 miles?
Yeah.
In calendar or stopwatch?
I knew I had you. I knew you weren't that. Yeah. And so, you obviously have all these accomplishments, but I know that, the greatest thing for you is your relationship with Christ.
Yeah.
And that was one of the reasons why I actually got in the Highland Games, because what I saw in the Spartan Games was you guys working together as a team to make that thing happen. But what I saw in the B-roll was a really key leadership decision that you made in your life when it looked as if you were going to lose the house. Looked as if what am I going to do with my family? 5 kids, responsibility. And then you end up in these games.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what's cool. If you've seen the show, it was so popular they decided not to have it again next year, of course. But if you've seen the show, that they highlighted my career and said that it was Highland Games that brought us through this tough time. And honestly, guys, I felt like I was failing as a husband, as a father. I couldn't succeed in anything, my job, everything. But I found the Highland Games, and that's what God used to help me find success. It helped us financially and to do that. And of course, it was great in the show. They would ask me in the interview, and I'd talk about how God had done these things, and they said, no, okay, go back to where the Highland Games helped you. No, it's a God thing. So you can see how it was edited appropriately, but it was totally God using something. And that's what's great about our God, is he uses sometimes the most mundane, crazy things you think of that he can just use for his glory and his power.
Yeah. And so you jumped into the games. It obviously has helped you. I mean, you've gained a position of influence based upon all that you've accomplished, which that's a huge leadership piece as well, to think about the platform that God gave you. And then to go on the Spartan Games, another platform God gave you, even though they tried to write that out, you still kept God in as much as you could, and they continued to write it out, but yet God continues to shine through. And you've got your wife, you got your 5 kids, and that sheer sense of responsibility has got to be huge.
Yeah.
As a young dad now with 5 boys.
Yeah, absolutely. It just goes so fast.
Yeah. And
we realize how great a responsibility fathers have to their children, and it can be intimidating at times, but we realize we've got the greatest example of a Heavenly Father.
Yeah.
And that's what we've got to try to pull off of.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so you are, in your story, the great thing about your story, do you have any brothers, any other siblings?
Yeah, I have an older and a younger brother.
Are they your size? Are they as big as you?
No.
No.
No. I always say my oldest brother almost has a doctorate, right? And my younger brother was a more accomplished thrower in college than I was, and I just say he got the brains, he got the athleticism, and I just got the looks.
And your mom survived, which is amazing to me. Yeah.
Everybody thinks I have ugly brothers, so which is kind of true.
It's great. And you're a pastor's kid.
Yep.
Yeah, so you grew up in the church, and now you guys are back home in Missouri, and you go to the same church that your dad pastors.
Yeah,
which is a real, it's it's commendable for your father and your parents as well, and what's going on. But I invited Daniel in just simply not to talk about the Highland Games, but really to talk about his heart and to challenge us as men this morning. And so, man, I'm just going to turn it over to you, and let's welcome him one more time, shall we?
Thanks, Ron. Oh, man. Good stuff. All right, I'm going to go ahead and give you a couple of tidbits here. Last night I spoke, I've already promised to Nathan and Ron that I wouldn't go near as long. We did go over, the lights were flashing red. Nathan was waving in the back. Security almost took me off, but we finally got through it last night. So I'm going to try to speed things up or kind of streamline a few things for you. But I just kind of want to warn you as I speak today. Guys, go ahead and take your arms. You're going to go ahead and put them down by your side, okay? Your wife's probably going to elbow you a few times today. Just going to go ahead and warn you. This will not be a we love our dads, yay. This is going to be a challenge. This is my heart. This is what I feel like God's told me to say to you guys and what I want to share. Now, women, I'm going to tell you, you go ahead and put your elbows down. You go ahead and block those elbow shots because this is going to apply to all of us. This is going to be to all of us. Can we do that? Awesome. So let me tell you a story. This goes back to the first king of Israel, and sometimes we think that was David, but it wasn't. It was a man named Saul. Saul, in the description in the Bible, was a man that was a head taller than everyone else and incredibly handsome. King material, I think. I don't know if you saw the difference between me and Ron, but I'll let you go there. But no, King Saul was just everything that you would expect in a king. So when he was declared king, when he was coronated, if you will, in part of the ceremony, they couldn't find him. He was hiding. Said, hey, Saul's the king. Where's he at? Oh, he's by the luggage. He's by all the equipment. He's not even here. Well, go get him, bring it out. He was hiding. He was so scared of the task before him as a leader, as a king. Doesn't sound like good king material so far, does it? Now, see, Israelites wanted a king. God didn't want to give him a king at first. He said, you know what? Look, you have a relationship with me. You have a prophet. We have this ability to talk. And the Israelites, stubborn as they are, said, you know what, God? That's cool and all, but all these other countries, they got kings. We need a king. He said, fine, I'll give you a king. But you realize this king is going to send your young men off to war. He's going to tax you. He's going to put you in bondage. All these things, but you have freedom in me. And they said, it's all right, God. We want a king. Fine, here you go. Here's your king, King Saul. Fast forward a few more years, Saul winds up in a valley before the army, the Philistines. Now, some people I know, I have some friends that call them Philistines. Anybody here call them Philistines? Yeah, you're wrong. It's biblical. Philistines, right? We're going to go with Philistines, right? The Philistines are in a valley. If I could picture this for you, if Hollywood were to, they're missing out on a great movie right here. You can imagine the mist rising in the sunrise. A valley lays before two armies. They're on the hillside, one on this side, one on that side. They're going to meet in the valley to fight. What an awesome. You can imagine like the rumbling music, the kind of the cool soundtrack, like Braveheart type thing, right? It'd be awesome, right? About ready to fight, but then here comes out of the army of the Philistines, here comes a giant over 9 feet tall. Huge man. In Missouri, we have these pillars, right? We have these kind of pillar columns things in my garage, and I think in my basement too. They're about this big around. You know, they hold up the ceiling. You guys have any of those around here? Yeah. Do you realize Goliath's spear was essentially that size? This guy was a beast. He comes striding out to the armies and said, hey, I'm Goliath, I'm the champion. Tell you what, your best man, fight me. The winner, we go home. The winner decides it for all the armies. Day after day, this guy comes out and he challenges them. Come fight me, who are you? He starts ridiculing God. He starts ridiculing the armies of Israel day after day. So who's this man that's supposed to fight him? Should be the king, right? Should be the noble leader of the Israelite army. Should be the man, Saul. He's a head taller than anyone else. He's incredibly handsome. He's a warrior. But what does he do? He hides. He does nothing. And he waits. Well, come along one day, this young man named David comes to check on his brothers. He's bringing them food, probably cheese wheels and curdled goat milk, raisin cakes, some of the greatest things. I think you guys have some in your coffee shop, right? Some of that goat milk, right? He's bringing that for his brothers. His dad said, hey, check on your bros, let me know how they're doing. Gets there, and David sees this. David's a young man, remember, a young boy even. And he sees and he understands, wow, this guy's coming out and ridiculing God. He's ridiculing the armies. What are we going to do? Someone's got to fight this guy. Crickets. Everyone's scared. Day after day, nothing happens. They're waiting for a leader. Their leader is failing them. Guys, I want to talk to you today about leadership. I want to talk to you today about being the strong leader that God has given us the opportunity to be. And quite honestly, the ability to turn hearts towards Him. And are we willing to do that? When I speak to different schools, teams, or churches, two of my big things that I always like to talk about is leadership is one of them. And I always have people say, well, I'm not a leader. I don't have those qualities. I can't do it. I don't want to speak up. I don't talk right. I don't talk good. Well, guess what? Neither do I, right? I don't have those qualities. I can't do it. That's what I was saying is how many people does it take to be a leader? How many people do you have to lead to be a leader? Does anybody know? It just takes one, doesn't it? We're all leaders. We all have leadership qualities within us. We all have leadership right before us. That God gives us an opportunity to be that. This world is full of followers. Simply look at social media. What is the greatest thing what's the currency of today on social media? It's likes, comments, and followers. Everyone wants followers. It only takes one to be a leader. That can be a brother, that can be a sister, that can be a wife, that can be a husband. It doesn't matter. That can be a coworker. We can all be leaders. It's just, are we willing to step out and do that? Are we willing to step out and be the leader, the one who's going to put it out on the line, like David? Are we going to be the ones who are going to go out there, or are we going to sit in our tent and hope it goes away like Saul? Because I can tell you right now, guys, it's not going away. That giant's coming out day after day. That giant is coming after our children every day. That giant's coming after your coworkers every day. It's coming after your wife every day. Are you going to be the man that steps out there and fights? Are you going to sit in your tent and hope it passes away? Which one will you be? We have this opportunity for leadership. I'm going to be in 1 Samuel 17 if you want to turn your Bibles there, and we'll read the rest of this passage. I'll give you the rest of the story. Paul Harvey. Does anybody remember Paul Harvey? Yeah, now for the rest of the story, right? Never did have a radio voice. Used to listen to those all the time with my dad. We're going to be in 1 Samuel 17, 47 to 52. But I will tell you this, if we're not willing to lead, guys, God will rise up another who will. And if people cannot get leadership from us, they will find it somewhere else, quite honestly. So Saul's not willing to help, not willing to lead. God's raising up someone else. That's David. Right before him, I'll give you the heads up real quick. Right before his very eyes, David is going to go out there and slay this giant. He's going to do it because he will not step up. And that's what's going to happen, guys. If we're not willing to lead, God will rise up another who will. And if people cannot get leadership from us, they're going to get it somewhere else. Because everyone's looking for leadership. Everyone's looking for a strong leader that they can follow, that they can be a part of, that they can put their name with. They're all waiting. They're going to get it from someone else. They're going to get it from friends. They're going to get it from the social media. And that's what I was saying. I was talking to some friends the other day, and I said, I'm surprised and shocked how much power social media has today within our society. How people will just simply wear things, say things, do things because someone on social media said it, did it, wears it, hashtags it. And these are people of no celebrities, right? We've gone from the days of celebrities even to where you have internet stars, Insta famous. It's out there. If you don't understand it, it's out there. They're going to find it from someone else. They're going to find it from our friends, their social media. They're going to find it from politicians in Hollywood. Those are not two places we'd necessarily want people to find leadership right now. And lastly, they're going to find it from schools. Now, I understand we have some great Christian teachers. We have some great Christian schools. I had some great teachers growing up, but I understand the school system is not always where we want morality to come from. Morality needs to come from the Bible, and that comes from the leadership at home. It's where we've got to find it. They're going to find it somewhere. So within that, we see a shift can happen. So how do we turn the hearts of those around us? How do we turn the hearts? All right. 1 Samuel 17:47-52 says, "Then all this assembly shall know that the Lord does not save with sword and spear, for the battle is the Lord's, and he will give you into our hands." Right? This is David speaking as he approaches the Goliath, the Philistine, the giant. 48, I love it. "So it was when the Philistine arose and came and drew near to meet David, that David hurried and ran toward the army to meet the Philistine." What's it say David did? Ran. Who did he run to? That was kind of mumbling here. I'm an interactive speaker. I want to know. Who did he run to? He ran to the Philistine Goliath. Who else did he run to? He ran to the army, didn't he? Look at that. It says that David hurried and ran toward the army to meet the Philistine. I love David's heart here. He even says to the people, do you not realize what he's doing? This guy is mocking God. We have to put an end to this. God will deliver this man into my hands. People didn't believe him, right? Saul gave him his armor. He's like, well, Dave, if you're going to do it, you better wear some of my armor. Well, it doesn't fit. That's too bad. Saul, here's your king, here's your champion, here's your man, here's your leader, is sending out a young boy to do a man's job. David runs to the Philistine. He runs to the army. He says, I will take on you and you and you and you. I don't care because you don't mock my God. What if we had that kind of attitude today, guys? What if we had that kind of attitude today with people we meet, people in our lives, that you don't mock my God? Well, we don't, do we? Sitting back like Saul too many times. We've been there. All right, 49. Then David put his hand in his bag and took out a stone and slung it. All right, I'm going to stop you there too. The stone we think of like those little river stones, don't we? We think of those, but this was not a river stone. Archaeological digs show that actually these stones that the slingers would sling was like a cue ball. That's a big old rock. Big old rock that he slings and throws at him, right? And I did some more research on slingers. I love slingers. If I was to ever start a Christian church, our mascot, they'd be the slingers. I think it would go over well. Every Christian church is the Eagles and the Angels and all that stuff, but nobody's the slingers. Can you imagine the mascot coming out? Right? This wasn't just a little slingshot with a river. This wasn't a kid doing that. No, this was an actual weapon. David had killed lions and bears. He tangled this before. He is not scared. Research shows that the slingers, while the archers would practice at 220 yards, that was their shots. Can you imagine any bow hunters around here? I try to bow hunt. I'm very, very bad at it. With a compound bow, I'm good from about 20 yards, right? These guys are shooting targets from 220 yards away. The slingers, 440. Can you imagine the kind of damage a cue ball is going to do coming at you 440 yards? I can imagine the armies, if there's a whole blanket, you're like, well, this is how it ends. It's just like a whole blanket of cue balls coming at you, right? This is David. David's a bad dude. We go to learn on later that David, not only was he a champion of Goliath, he's a champion in the battles. We also learn he was a sword bearer, the armor bearer of King Saul later on. Like the last line of defense, right? If you look at it, he's his last bodyguard for the king. David's a bad dude. It's okay to be a strong, bad dude for the Lord. It's okay to be a masculine man for the Lord. It's okay. So he slings, puts his hand in his bag, took out a stone, and slung it and struck the Philistine in his forehead. So the stone sank into his forehead, and he fell on his face to the earth. So David prevailed over the Philistine with a sling and a stone, and struck the Philistine and killed him. But there was no sword in the hand of David. Therefore David ran and stood over the Philistine, took his sword and drew it out from his sheath and killed him, and cut off his head with it. And when the Philistines saw that their champion was dead, they fled. Stop right there. This is just like what we used to color in Sunday school, this story, right? Yeah. How many parents would freak out if that was... What'd you do in Sunday school, Jimmy? Well, we did this, Mom. It's great. Whoa, okay. I'm sure you guys don't do that in Kid City, which you shouldn't. And when the Philistines saw that their champion was dead, they fled. Now the men of Israel and Judah rose and shouted and pursued the Philistines at the entrance of the valley and the gates of Ekron. And the wounded of the Philistines fell among the road to Shiram, even as far as Gath and Ekron. I want you guys to see here. I want you to see the hush of victory and the anxiety of defeat. Do you see it in this moment? If we're trying to paint this movie again, right? Do we see this? David's running out, grabs a sling, boom. What are the Israelites doing this whole time? They're like, oh boy, oh man, we're about to be slaves and or die right here because this young boy is running out there to fight this giant and he's going to lose. They're freaking out, right? What are the Philistine army doing? Yeah, buddy. Goliath undefeated, greatest warrior of all time for the Philistines. This is about to end real quick. You can see, right? What happens? Hey. That was the edited version. And everyone, right? The Israelites, the hush of victory. Like, what? Did he really? He won? No way, right? That hush. The Philistines, the anxiety, like, oh, that just happened. I've experienced both in my athletic career, right? Throwing. 2011 World Championships. We're in Loon Mountain, New Hampshire, right? It's a beautiful setting. It's on the hillside of a ski resort. The only time I've ever been to a ski resort is to throw. Imagine that. Can you imagine me on skis? It doesn't go well. It's like an avalanche the whole time. So we're sitting, and we throw at the bottom, right? There's the ski lodge, and this where the people sit, and they sit on this hillside, and you throw kind of at that. I found out quickly, resorts kind of have this like landing zone, right? So it's all there, and we're throwing. That's where we competed. Guys from all over the world are throwing. We're competing world championship. It's my first world championship to be a part of, 2011. We come down the last event, like we told earlier, there's 8 events over 2 days. And you come down the last event, and I won. I'm sitting there on the hillside, and one of my buddies, another competitor of mine, slaps me on the leg. He looks back and he's like, hey, man, congrats. You're world champion. In that moment, I felt the hush of victory. It was quiet for a second. In my mind, everyone's still milling about. Everyone's going on about their lives. But everything I had trained for. I had started in 2004 throwing the Scottish Highland Games as an amateur, competing around the Midwest, driving into my own competitions. And then by 2010, I was the number one ranked, 2007, I was the number one ranked amateur in the world, moved up to pros and gone from there. 2010, US champion. 2011 was my first world championship. I'd worked so hard for this. All those years I had thrown since 7th grade through college, throwing and competing, doing track and field in college, right? I competed for all this. And I had that, in that moment, I felt the hush of victory. Everything I'd worked for, it's finally come to fruition. It was quiet, it was still. It's kind of a weird moment when you realize those things have come. Now, I definitely felt the anxiety of defeat. 2014 was my greatest year of throwing the Scottish hammer, right? There's 2 hammers, there's a heavy and a light hammer. And the Scottish Highland Games are really the oldest organized sport to this day. And I had set world records in both of those in 2014. I had been so on fire in the hammers, I couldn't remember the last time I had lost in a hammer. It had been a couple years, right? If you have cumulative score over 2 days with 8 events, those were my money makers, right? the hammers. That's where I made it. 2014, I'm leading the U.S. championships. I'm trying to be the fifth to win in my fifth one in a row, to be only the second American in American history to ever win 5 championships, let alone 5 in a row. Come down to the second day, I'm leading. We're doing the heavy hammer, my event. I foul on my last throw, and I finished 5th or 6th in that event. And all of a sudden, my chances for winning went down to here. The anxiety of defeat. I was scrambling, right? And I was like, oh boy, I totally messed that up. What do I do now? What's going on? Everyone's looking at me like, dude, McKim just got smoked in the hammer. What happened? I have the anxiety of defeat. I can't figure out what to do. Those are those moments, guys. We see these moments where there's a hush, there's an anxiety, there's an opportunity to turn hearts. That's exactly what happened. We have an opportunity, guys, to turn the hearts in those moments. I love how it says, if you can look at it, it says, now the men of Israel and Judah arose and shouted and pursued the Philistines as far as the entrance to the valley of the gates of Ekron. Here's their king, here's their leader. He's done nothing. He sat in his tent. He's been scared. He's run to his tent probably every time Goliath came out. But can you see the hearts of the men turn? Can you see it? They went from being terrified, they have no leadership, no nothing, no hope, to now, you know what? David did, we're going to go do it. Let's get after it. They arose and they shouted and they run. Do you see the hearts of the Philistine army? They turn. All of a sudden, they're proud, they're ready. They just turn and run. They flee because their champion's dead. Guys, can I challenge you today to be a hero? Can you be a hero? Can we be a David? Because you know what? There is a big shortage of heroes in this world today. And I'm not talking about military, I'm not talking about everything else. I'm talking about heroes in our homes. Guys that are willing to stand in the gap for their families. Guys that are willing to set the tone at home, to be committed, to do those things at home for their wife, for their kids, for their coworkers, for their friends and family. We have a shortage of heroes. I want to be a hero. We have so many men in this world, in this country, in our churches today that I talk to, that are willing to die for their wife. They're willing to die for their kids. We don't have a lot that are willing to live for them. Where are we at, guys? How do we do this? Who can we turn? It's time we turn the hearts of those we encounter, our coworkers. First of all, is our coworkers. You know why? Because we are devoid of morality and joy. In our workplace, I think the biggest problem of those two, honestly, is joy. But morality is a problem, right? Letting things happen, standing there as things go by, and not standing up for what's right, even if it means losing your job. We're devoid of morality, but honestly, guys, we're devoid of joy. Like, look, I've been there. I've worked in the cubicle farm before. If you ever seen the first Mr. Incredibles, you know Mr. Incredible sat at his little desk and had a pillar in his back? Yeah, that was me, honestly. Like, so much so, and I had without the beard, I have a big chin, and so I kind of looked like him. So much so that people used to plaster my cue ball with Mr. Incredible's picture to show that I had the pillar in there and everything, right? I've been there. It's miserable. It's hard. You have jobs that you don't like. It's so easy to get sucked in to when guys complain at the workplace. They complain, they fuss, they cry, they whine, and all of a sudden you're in it too. You have no joy. Let's be that difference though. Because you know what? People don't come and say, hey, you know Jesus. You know how I could tell? Because you complain every day at work just like the rest of us. No. The difference they see is they see the joy that you have regardless of your job. Where's the joy at our workplace? One of the things my dad always tells me, like Ron said, I'm a preacher's kid, and my dad, through all my years of throwing, that was middle school, high school, college, post-college for the last 14 years, my dad has always been on me. Hey, I'm like, Dad, okay, so I'm down 2 points, I'm coming up national championships, second day, I've got to earn this and this and that. And he's like, hey, that's great, son, but hey, Joy of the Lord's your strength. Thanks, Dad, I know. But I really need to focus on my right foot and my hip. If I don't get that through, he's like, yeah, but the joy of the Lord is your strength. He used to harp that on me. He still harps on me. Because it's so quick to lose that joy. If we have that joy, we are that difference. All right, our coworkers. Second one is our friends. Be the example, not the follower. Guys, if we're going to be there, we've got to be the example, not the follower. Our wives, be the spiritual leader. I've had the opportunity for over 10 years now, is teach a young married's Sunday school class, right? A young married's class. And the women that talk to myself or talk to my wife, you know what they say about their husbands? Their biggest complaint? It's not that I wish she would dress better. I wish he would make more money. I wish he was more romantic. I wish he did this. I wish he did that. I wish he was that. You know what their biggest request is? I want him to be the spiritual leader in my house. He's not. The number of women that have to drag their men to church, the number of women, the sheer number, this is totally different. You guys have a lot here on Father's Day, but you realize how many churches right now are low numbers for the whole year because it is Father's Day? What does that tell us, guys? Be the spiritual leader of your house. That's what the wives are yearning for. Be the spiritual leader. Our children, be engaged. We can turn the hearts of our children if we're engaged. You realize, and I know you all see this too, but you go through and you see dads at the park with their kids and they're on their phone the whole time. They come home from school and you throw them in front of the TV or a electronic device. I was at a trampoline park. You guys have trampoline parks around here? They're awesome, right? For big guys, you feel like you can actually jump for the first time in your life. But I will say, I don't exactly land pretty. So many times I've done that, I'm like, nothing I can do, look out, you know? I'm going down. I was at a trampoline park, and this kid had to wait 60 seconds, 90 seconds to jump in a foam pit, but had to have an electronic device. He was 3, 4 years old to entertain him during that time. Where are we as parents? Where are we as fathers? Be engaged. I understand it. I work in sales, right? So I have to have my phone for emails and texts and everything. And you know, people, when they want to buy stuff, they always want to do it like at weird times, it seems like. But can we put it down? Can we be engaged with our kids? Because guess what? I've realized I have an 11-year-old, a 9-year-old, twin 6-year-olds, and a 4-year-old. I realized really quick how fast time goes. I didn't believe it. When some of y'all told me that when I had my first kid, man, I can't sleep, I'm so tired, and nothing, oh man, he just cries all the time. They said, oh, don't worry, I'll go fast. No, I won't, it just seems like it's forever. It goes fast. So fast. With each year that I see, I lose time with my kids. I lose those opportunities. Can we be engaged? So how can we do that? I promised I would get you out of here on time. Well, I kind of lied then. It's all right. So last things, how do we do this? How do we turn the hearts of those before us? Number one is a spiritual walk. That's a quiet time. But before we can even have that quiet time, guys, that's a personal relationship with Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior. If you want to be the true father, if you want to be a great father, a great leader in your house, you got to get it straight from the only father that's ever done it all. That's Jesus Christ. That's a relationship with him, first and foremost. I love that. It's in a clip we watched earlier. For God so loved the world, he gave his one and only Son, that whosoever believes in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. He loved us so much. The Heavenly Father sent his only Son to die for us. And Jesus loved us so much that he died for us. The only way we can be great fathers and great leaders is if we have that ultimate leader in our life. And that's a relationship with Jesus Christ. The Bible says, for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. That's everybody. We all deserve hell. But Jesus paid it all for us, first and foremost. Today, if that has not been part of your life, let's let today be that day. Make yourself right with God, and you'll make yourself right at home. Let today be that day. Anyone here wants to talk to you about that? For the rest of us, we have that quiet time, right? If you've got that relationship with Jesus, you do this through your personal spiritual walk. How's your quiet time? Maybe that means getting up early, staying up late. I don't care when it is, just get the time in. Quiet time is a Christian speak for personal, concerted effort time with God. In the Bible, in His Word. Make that a priority. Number 2, be committed. Set the tone. When I tried through all these years to try to throw, I always go to a competition, I try to set the tone first event. Especially if the first event's a hammer, you better believe I'm going to set the tone. Put it out there. In 2013 World Championships, first throw, I launched a World Championship record throw. Set the tone for the whole weekend. I led the whole time. Setting the tone. Establishing it yourself. Guys, be the one who sets the tone. Be the pacemaker in your house. Hey, we're going to go to church. Hey, we're going to help with this mission trip. Hey, we're going to help with this ministry opportunity. We're going to do this because we're a family and this is what we do. Like I said earlier, their wives are yearning for that. Your kids are desiring that. Don't give your kids an option whether or not you're going to church or not. That's just expected what you do because dad goes to church. Dad's going to church. Be committed. Number 3, be disciplined. Expect more from yourself and others will follow. We have a lack of discipline sometimes, and it's easy, and life is so easy sometimes, and everything's before us. You realize you can order groceries at Walmart now, and you can go drive up, and they will throw them in your vehicle for you. That blows my mind. I grew up going to the grocery store, again, with 2 brothers. Now I see my wife. My wife is a rock star. She goes to Walmart with all 5 boys with 2 grocery carts full of food. She pushes one and pulls the other. It's pretty awesome. I haven't told her about this Walmart thing, though. So don't let her know, right? Be disciplined. Expect more from yourself and others will follow. If we expect more from ourselves, guys, people are going to follow us. They want to see that. They want to experience that. And lastly, we lock shields with brothers. We got a clip, not a clip, we got a graphic here of shields. Now this is a depiction of a shield, right? If you look at the Spartan times, Spartans were warriors. And one thing that I realized when I was on the TV show, besides the fact that I had absolutely no cardio, that I thought pretty sure I was going to die. At one point at a time, we halfway through the obstacles, and we come to this, and it's an indoor, and there's a water tank and everything, and it was the room started to spin. I started to black out, and I was like, well, this is it. The big guy's about to die on TV, right? It was bad. So I realized pretty quick that there was something that a Spartan race always has is a shield. It was always a big deal. Hey, after this obstacle, guys, grab that shield and put it over here. Okay. I'll carry it. No, grab this, after this obstacle, grab the shield here. Go the shield here. Takes it there, take it there. At the end, grab the shield, carry it across the finish line. Why is this shield so important? I started doing some research on the Spartans. And part of what they did is they had these shields. These shields were very, very important to their families. So much so that their mothers, the moms would send the young boys, I said that right, young boys, 14 years old sometimes, 13 years old, to war. Send them to war with the shield. And they would say, son, you're coming home with this shield, either on it or with it. Can you imagine as a mother, as a parent saying that to your kid? Hey, bring the shield back. Either you're going to be carrying it or they're going to be carrying you on it, right? This shield was important to them. It was passed down from generation to generation. Father to son, all the way down. Can you imagine having this shield and having the nicks and the scars and everything within the shield, maybe something etched in there, a personal message to your future generations? This is how important the shields were. Why were the shields so important? Because they would create formations with those shields. They would go to battle. And I knew that I could sustain this battle if you had my left, if you had my front, you had my right, and he had my back. We can do this together, guys. We can accomplish and we can conquer so much more because we're together. We can lock shields. So my challenge for you guys today is, will you lock shields with me? Will you step out, be the leader that God has called you to be? Will you be the man that your kids have been waiting for? Will you be the man your wife has been praying for? Will you stand in the gap when it comes to work? When you know what's right and you know what's wrong, and you sit on your hands and you watch? Will you lift up your kids on a daily basis as they fight and struggle with the things that come at them today, which we had not even a hint of when I was a kid? And I'm not even that old. God's given us such a great opportunity, guys, to be dads. Best job I ever had. My 5 boys. And I think of the future they have to face. Am I doing enough as a dad to help equip them for that at all? Or am I getting stuck in the everyday thinking they'll be fine? So here's my challenge. This is what I'd love for us to do. I would love for us to close this worship. I would love to line this front with dads. Willing to lock shields and pray together briefly before we leave. And setting the tone. Would you guys do that? Is anybody willing to join me down here? I know we're going to fill up the aisles too. I would love for you guys to just bow your heads and let's just pray. Put your hand on the man in front of you. You don't have to know who he is. You don't have to know where he's from. But you can pray for him right now. Every man's touching a man. Every guy's got somebody touching them. God, I pray for these men. Lord, what an awesome opportunity you've given each and every one of them to be a leader, God. To be the man that you've put in the lives of so many people. God, I pray for this community. I pray for this church. God, that you would do so many mighty things that the world would know that you're working and moving in Fort Wayne. God, I pray for these men and their homes, their marriages, Lord, their kids, their grandkids. God, bless them. Give them boldness and courage, God, to live out the days that you've given them. God, to do so many mighty things for you. Let them be an example, a witness for those they impact. God, I pray for my brothers. Help us, Lord, on a daily basis to lock shields, to take this battle to the doorstep of the devil and bring you glory. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Yeah, awesome. Let's stand together, shall we, real quick, and all these guys can find where they're sitting or where they're at. Thank Daniel again, shall we, this morning for being here and his family. Thanks. Going to give you one quick announcement, then we'll get out of here. Actually, two, and then I'm going to pray at the end. I don't know on Father's Day if guys, you bought anything for your wives or not. And I know it's Father's Day, and you shouldn't buy anything for your wife, but you wouldn't be a dad without her, if you get my drift. And so our youth are in the process of raising money for the DR and for Haiti, and they've got these great boxes of DeBrand's truffles that normally sell for like $22, and actually they receive a huge profit on this thanks to DeBrand's. They're $15 a piece, and there's not that many more left, and so I think this service could clean them out, and you'd make your wife happy. Happy wife, happy life. Exactly right. Yeah. The other thing too, I just want you to put a couple names in your brain here, and that's Stryker and Amanda Saylor. Young couple here at Pathway, and Amanda is in her final days, if not final hours right now, and was over there on Friday and was able to baptize both of them, and something they longed to do this summer together in the pond. And I said, hey, mode is not important. Your posture of heart is what's important. And just had a really incredible time with their family the other day. So let's pray for them as well, and then I'll get you out of here. Let's go. Lord, thanks so much for the message this morning from Daniel. Thanks for how he's challenged my heart over these past couple of days, and I know the hearts of so many of our men. I thank you, Lord, for the men that are in this place today that really made the commitment to go to church with their family or to go to church on their own. I pray for those dads that have their wives right beside them, and I pray that they would be the example that those ladies are longing for. I think of the single men that are in this place, and my heart resonates with them this year in ways that it hasn't before. And Lord, I pray for them too, that you would just give them the ability to just really be that example as well to their kids, and that they would just feel affirmed today, affirmed as men. All the men in this place would feel affirmed today by what was communicated and conveyed. And Lord, I pray for Stryker, and as a husband, young husband, having to walk this journey with a young wife. And I pray that you would just continue to just pour out your grace and your mercy and your kindness upon that family this morning as well. Thanks for loving us. Thanks for giving us example what leadership looks like. Thanks for laying down your life for your friends. It's in the name of Jesus I pray. Amen. See you later.